Going on, so they have a game I played, they 91.4% accuracy, a blunder and a message from my opponent because they thought they won the game, but let's get straight to it. They go pawn to e4, I go pawn to e5, knight f3, knight f6, and they capture the pawn on e5, the exchange Petrov. This is a blitz game, by the way. I go pawn here to d6, they drop back, I take towards the middle, and they go queen here to e2, I go queen to e7, pawn to d3, knight back, knight to c3, queen capture, bishop captures. And this is, I think this is the end of the book move. So I go c6, which is not the best. Yeah, I know c6 wasn't the best move, but I could not remember what I was supposed to do to stop knight to b5. I think maybe knight b5 and knight a6, but because I didn't remember, I just went c6 to stop it. So I kind of figured this wasn't the book move, but we got pretty deep into the theory on this one. I know this just playing the Petrov so often. I think I'm showing this little tidbit up here, but if you can't see it, I went about 47% of the time in this, so not an amazingly high percentage, but I can win, a decent amount. But I go pawn to c6, they castle, I go bishop e7, they go bishop here to g5, and I go pawn here to h6. Now after pawn to h6, I did not think that I was doing too good, honestly. Like, I felt that they had a worse light square bishop, but I felt that their dark square bishop was a little bit better as it would reside on this h2 to b8 diagonal after it maneuvers. You'll see. So obviously now it's pretty bad, but I go pawn here to g5, and now they're on this good diagonal here. I feel like they control a lot of squares, although not good as they control two diagonals. They control one long one. But I would say I did consider going knight to h5 here, and I kind of wish I did. So my thought process was after knight to h5, if they went rook to e1, I take, they take, and then I castle. Then my bishop would be hanging. They get a free bishop move. Now, what I miscalculated here was a couple things. First, even if one, I could protect the bishop because there's nothing they could take with that discovered bishop attack. And two, the only square it could go to is d1 because the knight's blocking it. So I should have just went there. I considered it, and I castled. So it sucks that this isn't even a bullet game. So I can't make the excuse like, oh, I didn't have time. I sat here and calculated it, and I just miscalculated. So I go knight to h5 probably every other game, but this game I castled. They go rook here to e1 as I predicted. I go rook to e8. Although knight to h5, the computer's screaming, but they finally put a stop to it with h3. So if you can't see why this stops it, if I go knight to h5, bishop h2 will be perfectly fine, and it won't be trapped. Here I go bishop to f5. If you've seen my videos before, if you haven't, make sure you follow. I talk about not knowing what to do with the light square bishop. However, when queens are off the board, it's a lot easier because there's just no real attack that's going to happen. Like, their attacks are going to happen, obviously, but it's just a lot different. So going bishop f5 was pretty natural. Then go knight here to d4, bishop g6. Now, bishop h7 is better. How? I really don't know. It controls less squares, and I'm trying to think. It can't even be targeted, which is usually the reason you would not want to go there. And I feel like it makes sense because now I control the h5 square a bit more, but the computer says bishop h7 is better, and the computer is better than I am, so clearly I'm just missing it. But they go bishop here to f1, I go knight b to d7, when I should have went d5. Yeah, I don't even know if I don't know if I go d5. Oh, I do go d5. I go d5 the next move, actually. There's my memory. But they go rook to e2. I go pawn here to d5, and then go rook all the way over. And this is when I was like, okay, I guess I have to trade the rooks off. I can't drop the bishop, so I have to move it. And I could protect it with king f8, but it's just kind of pointless. I would have to trade it eventually. And then even if I went there, that's just a bad position. So I go bishop here, or bishop f8 was better, and we trade off all the rooks. And here I thought we were going to a draw, but I won the game. They go knight here to f3. I go pawn forward to f5, looking to see what I can do in the position. I want to close off their dark square bishop. As I mentioned earlier, I think it has a pretty good diagonal, so I want to rid it of that. They go knight in here to e5, which is an excellent move because it forces the bishop to be free. This is a fork in the technical sense. Like a fork, when someone generally refers to it, it's you are winning a piece or getting a piece of higher value. And if you can't see or you don't know, the bishop and the knight are worth the same amount of points, not pieces. So this isn't a fork in the sense that they win something, but it is a fork in the sense I have to react to it. Because if I don't take it, I will lose. Well, I guess I could go knight to f8, but same thing. They're going to take one of these pieces, and because of that, they're going to delay pawn to f4, which will in turn let them have an active bishop. So I just go for the trade because going knight f8 is kind of pointless. One, you don't want to give up a bishop for a knight in this position. It was also just kind of pointless as I would trade anyways, and I wanted to do it on my turn. So I trade, they take back, king here to f7. Although f4 was still a good move. It stops the bishop going backwards, but I could not see why that was so good. So I just put my king towards the middle of the board, which is like a general principle in the endgame. They go pawn here to d4. Okay. This game I have some amazing tactics that I miss. You'll see. They're pretty cool. If you like chess, you'll love them. But they go pawn here to d4. I go bishop to e7, and they go bishop here to d3. Now here's where I was like, what to do, and I go f4, which is the best move. Now the reason that I think it's the best move, this could be incorrect. I don't want them to get g4 in. I feel like if they get g4 in, it's just it is easier to play for white. So I go f4 to get some forward space and force the bishops off, because I just didn't like what was going to happen of g4 and all that pressure. And then I can't move my king, because if I move my king, then the bishop's unprotected, and now it's a pin. So I just wanted to get rid of all of that. We trade some more pieces off. I'm going closer to a complete endgame. They go bishop b8, or this is endgame. Going closer to a pieceless endgame. They go bishop b8. I go pawn to a6. They go knight here to a4. Best move. King forward, as I mentioned. They go f3, which is an amazing. I can't believe that wasn't the best move, but the computer is amazing. Bishop a7. I don't know how many. If I was white, I also would have went f3. Like I think that was an excellent find. I go knight here to d6. They go knight into c5. Now this is a miss, honestly. Like it kind of works out that I don't lose the game, because they go here, but I find this move knight to c4. Or no, I don't go knight to c4. Wow, that's crazy. That's a much better move. But I thought I found it. I didn't. But I go knight to b5. This is a mistake. But they go pawn here. I take, they take, and I find d4, which is, I would guess, the only move that doesn't lose the game on the spot. If you can't see, the knight here is trapped. But the benefit of them not having moved their king is my pawn can actually promote if they decide to go after it. So I go, yeah, this is the excellent tactic here. Instead of going pawn to d3, I'm supposed to go knight to c3. Now let's show knight c3. Let's show the moves. And this is beautiful. Like you can't say anything. This is beautiful. I can't believe I missed that. But there's another one that I missed is even cooler, honestly. They go king f1. I move my knight out of the way. They go king here, knight check, and I mess up again with this mistake. This is actually, I'm losing here after knight e3. Now it says what I'm supposed to do, if I remember correctly. It's h5. I think it said. Yeah, I'm supposed to go pawn to h5. And let's see this makes so much more sense. Yeah, this is completely winning. I'm not going to lose this. It's a 4-on-3, but the issue is that because they're on the same files, I never have to take. So if you could imagine, actually, this happens in the game, so I'm going to wait to explain that as to why that 4-on-3 is kind of useless. But they go king here to d3. I take the pawn. I go here. And after they take, I'm completely winning, except I blunder. So they go king d3. I go pawn here to h5. They push pawn forward. And here, I inexplicably go g4. Now, this is a horrible move, and in my defense, it's just because I got a little bit too excited about a winning position, because I'm winning, and I knew I was winning in the game, but I just got too excited about the fact that I was winning, which happens, and I have to work on that. But the reason I am winning is because of Zug. I think it's called Zugzwang. So if I just went pawn to a5, just literally waited one move. After a5, if they take or push forward, it'd be their turn. So let's say a5, bx c6, bx c6. Now all the pawns are locked on the queen side. They can't get in, so they go king literally anywhere. Then I can go g4 like I planned on doing. And if they have to take it or not take, well, they have to take it. They take, I take, they take. Or maybe even king f5 is probably better. King f5 and then I go g4. Now, whatever the case is, I can break through and get a passed pawn that their king would need to go over there to stop, and then my king can go to that side of the board. But because I do it in this order, it's not necessary, because I miscalculated after hx g4, I'm kind of losing. Because I do go a5, because I saw this idea, and I thought that the order didn't matter, but it ends up mattering. So I go a5, they go pawn here to b6, and I sat here and thought for a while, and they actually sent me like an emoji, like, oh, got you, basically. And I was like, do they really have me? So I went f3, which is the great move. I assume the only move that doesn't lose the game. It must be. It has to be. Because every other move, I just lose the pawn for free. But because I go f3, f2, now I'll get king to f4. So you might be wondering why this 0-0 game is a draw. I mean, it's not. It ends in a win and not a draw. They just blunder, honestly. They're kind of cocky. They thought they were winning here, I assume. So I keep going, and a big thing here is keeping opposition, and I'm trying to keep the opposition on the right square, because if I let them, say I went king, okay, I'm trying to get set up. So say here, I go king to g4, I'm actually losing, because of king e4, but you may be wondering, because I get a similar opposition later here, But the difference is now if I move my king, they can't go king to d5 because the pawn protects it. So you have to control which square you have opposition on. So I go king f5, and again, if I back up anywhere else, I'm losing because of king to e5, and they get in diagonally. So I'm trying to limit where their king goes, and they eventually crack with king to f3, and I get in king to d4. So them being up a pawn is quite useless as they're doubled. I take this one, I want to take that other one, and up 2 pawns is completely losing, and I decide to resign there. Thank you for watching, and I hope you could enjoy, and have a good one.